Shabbat, just like you are. You've just switched seats. That's all. That's great.
That's good.
It's like missing a word.
Where?
If you're already here,
Yeah, and then can we do another verse, but just...
yeah, I'll just repeat this.
Yeah. It's cool. All right.
You can look at this one.
Good.
Live long and prosper. Or bracha v'hatzlacha. It's what my grandma. My mother would say. It wasn't that deep. It wasn't that deep of a reference. Hello. Shabbat shalom.
Wait, where did you guys go to elementary school? Okay. He went to state in the purple. There was yeah, that word. Yeah, but it's funny because I wouldn't have known it was a hot. There's the rest of your crew. See them coming?
All right. First of all, gentlemen have gentlemen's shoes.
They do.
This is actually
Nice
very different
shoes. That's true.
newspaper articles and like all of my YouTubes. This is what gentlemen do.
Also,
We
though,
wear
they're
nice shoes.
totally different. It's
Very
really.
handsome. Very
It
handsome.
is. It's very handsome.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Jay. How are you? Shabbat shalom. Chag sameach. Oh, nice to see you. Yes. Oh, you are a braver man than us.
You know,
Did you go full milk?
best day all night, but I was done at 2.
Oh wow, that's respectable.
I mean,
That's
it's they have asked us many times to do it, and I'm always like, I will take it as long as it doesn't go past 9. But that is my bedtime.
I think they were done at 10.
I mean, it's just it's a.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah,
but
it's a
with,
lot.
with the kids little, we were like, they had us beat. Where there was
Mine
no
has
way we
nothing to do
could-
with children. I just get tired easily.
used to
I
do it.
just don't like to stay up late.
We used to do it like very late. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were up all
Exactly.
out. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We've
So
got a
funny.
few years, but we're gonna get there.
We won't have any kids in the city after this.
Oh.
Oh, it's a big change. Okay, I have heard that you are fantastic. That's the rumor around town.
Well, you know, I just had a quiz over at Del Mar Gardens this afternoon.
Oh,
Reading the Ten Commandments. And
wow.
actually, some list of people that are different here.
Oh, that's so nice.
Wow.
I don't know who's at Del Mar Gardens, but
It's Elmore Gardens? Wolf?
The daughter actually went to school with my sister-in-law, Lori, for the 50th reunion.
huh.
Planned the 50th reunion.
I don't know. Don't know.
You know, holidays I never remember.
Sounds good. It's hard to hear you speak otherwise.
To speak? If I, because he said, this is good.
Okay.
But I can project also. You want me to, but
No, it's fine. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Come on in and find us seats. for that one. It's okay. Okay.
Make sure that's on side.
Yeah. Shabbat shalom, everyone. All right, you all are very spread out tonight. You're going to make us work for it. That is okay. We can do this, but it does mean that you're going to have to sing along. So we are going to start with a song that's an oldie but a goodie on page 10. How good and pleasant it is to be here together, brothers and sisters, family and friends, as we sing Hine Matov. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Beautiful. All right, so let's maybe do one more opening song before we do our blessings. It's right below that one, also on page 10. This is Yedi Nefesh. And you know I like you to sing along with this part in the middle. I will cue you in case you forget it. Yedi Nefesh Rachman, Yedi Nefesh Rachman, Meshochav Dacha, Eretz Onacha, Meshochav Dacha, Ya la 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 la. No.
Oh, my goodness.
That was sad.
Oh.
That was really
Okay,
sad.
that's
Okay,
impossible.
even if you don't get the Hebrew at all, that middle part there, it just goes, ya lie, 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 lie. And I will point to you when it's your turn to make sure. Okay, see, I can do this all night. Come on, everyone. No, just kidding. We're not going to do it all night. let's try it again.
Shabbos drills.
From the beginning. Yedi Nefesh Rachman, Yedi Nefesh Rachman, Meshochav Dacham, Eretz Onacha, get ready, Meshochav Dacha, Ya la 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 la, Eretz Onacha, beautiful, Yarutz Avdecha, Kemo Aya, Yishtachavel Lai, Ya la 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 la, Emul Hadracha. Beautiful. All right, sometimes it takes a little bit of pressure to make sure that we all have the Shabbat spirit, but I feel like we do. I also know that for a lot of us, this is either the last week of school or almost the last week of school, so there's a lot of sort of excitedness in this room tonight that we feel like we're nearing the end, but there's probably no one more excited that we are at this weekend than the Winehouse Boys, because they're becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. So, in honor of their amazing B'nai Mitzvah, I am going to invite up Sandy and Keith Kramer, and Sherry and Dan Kramer, and Amy and Mark Goldberg, who are going to help us with our candle blessing, and our Kiddush, and our Motzi, which can be found in the beginning of the book on page 2. How about over there?
It's our most impressive feat.
It's like very sci-fi.
Yeah,
I love it.
and mostly it works.
Sweet.
Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Wait, is this good?
Teva.
Someone has to.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
That's it.
How's that? Until tomorrow.
So the wine house has already got to enjoy a little Shabbat celebration, but we know that a lot of the prayers and the things that we do at the beginning of our service are actually traditionally often done at the Shabbat table at home, but just in case we haven't had the opportunity to be home and have that experience together, we say some of those prayers and blessings here. And one of the songs that we like to sing is the one that welcomes in the Shabbat angels, and it can be found on page 24, so join us in the words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem LeShalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim Kadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we turn to page 28 and rise together for the call to worship. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu etz Adonai HaMevorach
Continuing on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we join together in the words of Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם. Stand out on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot.
That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We join in Micha Mocha on 40. Micha Mocha, Vaylim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar v'Kodesh, Norati Lord, Osef Eleh, Norati Lord, Osef Eleh. Mocha is our prayer of freedom, but we follow it with the words of Hashkivenu, asking God, wherever freedom takes us, to spread a shelter of peace wherever we may go. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, So school may be over or almost over, but at Temple Israel, our upcoming B'nai Mitzvah students work all year round. So I see we have a couple pre-B'nai Mitzvah students out there who I think are going to help us, and you guys get to choose. Either you can help or you can sit there and be like, we're almost done. Yeah, come on, you can do it. All right.
That
Come
was
on up.
mostly
That's you.
volunteer.
David, you too. You got this one. So please rise on page 46.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot v'Imachot, Umevi Gula Lifnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo v'Achava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rab le'Hoshia, Mechakei ha'chaim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'ofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memid u'mechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Please be seated.
So we'll turn now in our prayer books and we'll offer a prayer for peace, thinking of all of those in our community and our nation and our world who are in need of some prayers for peace right now and wholeness. The words of Shalom Rav on page 60. Shalom Rav Yisrael Omcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Omcha Tasim La'olam. Ki ata Melech Adon L'chol Shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol Bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. And we're going to turn now in our prayer books all the way to page 253, because at this time we leave from the order of the service and we take a few moments to think of those who are in need of healing prayers. So if there's someone who you're thinking of at this time who would appreciate their names being shared in this space for healing prayer, I would invite you to do so now. We're thinking too of Arlene Alper and Lacey Weinstein and Drew Patchen. So for them and for us, we sing our Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Bracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor Bracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say Amen. Oh, say shalom, b'maromav, oh, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'imromo, oh, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. So today, at least for another, 20 minutes or so, we are celebrating the holiday of Shavuot. Started last night. Now, Shavuot is really one of the most important Jewish holidays, and it is also the one that I can almost guarantee that most of us know the least about. And there's really a good reason for that. You know, if you think about so many of our Jewish holidays, they are relatively easy to explain in, just a word or two. We think about Hanukkah, and it's about miracles and oil and lights. We think about Yom Kippur, and it's about repentance and fasting. We think about Passover, and it's about freedom and the Seder. But Shavuot is about a lot of different things, but it's not really all that easy to just encapsulate with one message. But tonight, I'm going to hope to change that for us. You know, part of the problem is with Shavuot, it does have really a lot of different customs that are hard to roll up into one little package. Shavuot means weeks because we have been counting all the way from Passover until this day. We've been counting 7 weeks of 7 days, so that's why it's called Shavuot. In the Torah, we are told that this is the harvest festival. It is the wheat harvest festival. Later on in Jewish tradition, we are taught that actually Shavuot was also when the Torah was given to the Jewish people, specifically the Ten Commandments. So there's a tradition of reading the Ten Commandments on this holiday. There's also a tradition that says that when the Jewish people were supposed to receive the Torah, they all slept late. And so there's also a tradition that you stay up all night long studying the Torah, and it's Tikkun Leil Shavuot. Jay said that he almost made it this year. Rabbi Michael and I confirmed that we have never made it past 9 o'clock because we're not that cool, but it is still a beautiful tradition. In the Reform community, this is often when we have confirmation. In our synagogue and in many of them, we actually did it last week because Memorial Day is a tough time to ask people to come into services. Thank you for being here, but we know there's a lot of high school graduates who are out having all sorts of different kind of fun tonight. And what else? Oh, also, one of the best things about this holiday, and there's really not a very good reason for this, but on this holiday we are told that we should eat dairy foods, specifically ice cream and cheesecake. And who really needs a reason to eat ice cream and cheesecake? There are different reasons. One says that we do it because it's the land of milk and honey, but really, cheesecake, who needs an excuse? But for me, the best part about Shavuot, the tradition that I like the most, is that on Shavuot we read the book of Ruth. Now, Ruth it's a Megillah, it is a scroll, and there are certain scrolls that we read on different holidays, but Ruth is really actually, it's a pretty short story. It's really only got 4 chapters, and the story goes something like this. There is a woman whose name is Naomi, which is a beautiful name that means pleasantness. So Naomi, in this story, she has 2 sons, and these sons go out and they get married to 2 women whose names are Orpah and Ruth. Very nice girls, not Jewish, but still very nice girls, just the same. They get married, and the girls come to live with Naomi and her sons, but then tragedy strikes, and both of her sons die. And so now she has these 2 young women who are living with her, and she says to them, "You need to go back to your parents' house. There is nothing for you here. What, am I going to have more sons, and then you're going to wait for them to grow up so that you can get married? You need to go back to your family." So Orpah agrees. She's sad, but she goes back to her family's house. But Ruth says, "Whither thou goest, I will go. Whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people will be my people, and thy God, my God." It's one of those lines that you just have to say in the King James. That last line, by the way, where she says, "Thy God, my God," is why we think of Ruth actually as being the first convert to Judaism. So the 2 of them then go off, Ruth and Naomi has a relative whose name is Boaz, and it's harvest season, and so they go out, and you may know that there is a tradition, and actually Evan and Jack are going to read a little bit about it tomorrow. There's a tradition that if you have a field, you're supposed to leave the corners of your field so that someone who is hungry is able to come and get some food for themselves. So Ruth and Naomi, they go and they do this in Boaz's field so that they are able to actually sustain themselves. Something else happens in the field. It's a little unclear, yada, 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 but somehow Boaz and Ruth, they fall in love, and they decide that they are going to go and get married. There's a very weird chapter in there that has to do with a shoe, also a little bit bizarre, but they go out and they get married, and then they have a baby together, and that baby, later on will have another baby, who then will have another baby, who is King David. So, turns out pretty important in the end that Ruth is the great-great-grandma of King David. And that's the whole story. Okay, so what about that story says to you Shavuot? Anyone? Anyone have any thoughts? There's no right answer. Bradley, you have a thought? What's the best part? Yeah, I did. I left it. We have a lot of children here tonight. We're not going to do the yada, yada, yada part, but you may read it for yourselves. There's a euphemism even in the Tanakh, so. Well, I like that. All right, that's true. You never know who your relatives are. That's the theme for Shavuot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, anything that makes you think of how this would connect to Shavuot? It's not very obvious. I mean, it takes a little bit of a stretch. Tradition says that, well, maybe it's because Shavuot is about a harvest, and it is harvest time at one point during the story. Some people say that it's about the idea that Ruth takes on all of these Jewish teachings and that this is the holiday that we're told we are given Torah, so maybe that's why. But really, none of those work all that well for me. So I'd like to leave you with maybe a different idea about why it is that we read this book of Ruth on Shavuot, and maybe that can become the whole theme of why we celebrate Shavuot altogether. You know, if you look at this story of who Ruth and Naomi are, this is really a story about people who are on the periphery of the community. This story is all about people who really don't have a place and don't fit in. Ruth is this woman who we know from the very beginning, she does not have a family to return to. Somehow we know that this young woman, she has no yichus. She's got nowhere that she can go, so she has to stay even though she doesn't have a husband anymore. We know, too, that she is poor, so poor that the only way she is even going to be able to eat is going to be to travel and in the night be able to harvest the fields with someone's leftovers. We know that this is a woman who converted to Judaism, and while in Judaism, we honor those who chose this faith. Anyone who is a Jew by choice will tell you that it is not an easy path, and that there are often times where, as a Jew by choice, you feel like you are on the periphery. And it's not just Ruth who's like this. We know, too, that for Naomi, this is a woman, in the beginning, she says her name is Naomi, which means pleasantness. But after everything happens to her, she tells everyone, no, call me Mara instead. Mara, which means bitterness. This is a woman who had everything. She had a husband, she had wealth, she had children, and all of a sudden, she has nothing. This is a woman who once had a purpose in life and once had a purpose in community, and now all of that is gone. So much that she is ready to change her name and just say, just let me sit here and be bitter because there's nothing left. But what does Ruth do for her? She says, I'm not going anywhere. She doesn't try to fix her problem. She doesn't try to change her. She just says, if you feel lost and alone, don't worry, I am going to be here by your side. And maybe of all of the themes that we could find from Shavuot, these are the ones that should matter to us most. The idea that there are always people who are on the periphery, who for some reason feel alone, who feel isolated, who feel like they don't have a purpose, that they don't have enough. And this story shows us again and again that we can care for them. That Ruth and Naomi, these two women who have so much to feel like they are absolutely lost, again and again, the other characters in the story show up for them. They say, we're not leaving your side. You know, we're here this Memorial Day weekend, and I know that this weekend for a lot of people, actually ourselves included, that this is a weekend of celebrations. That a lot of us, this is our wedding anniversary. For a lot of us, this is a week of graduations and celebrations and wonderful times. But this weekend, perhaps for all those reasons, is a time when we should be thinking about those who aren't celebrating, those who are left out and on the periphery and may need someone to look out for them. So let that be our lesson this Shavuot. May this become the holiday for us, that even if we are here in a time of celebration, that we are looking out for the people on the periphery of our community who may just need someone to say, wherever you go, I will go and be by your side. Shabbat Shalom. So, we are going to turn now to page 282, and I'll ask you, if you will, to please rise, and we'll join in the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'artzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samcha kenu kahem, v'gor aleinu ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. On 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair.
Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. So on this Memorial Day weekend, we take a few moments and we honor the names of those members of Temple Israel who died in service to our country. Private Raymond P. Emmer, Captain Wallace N. Emmer, Alan Franken, Private Fred H. Golding, Jerome Goldman, Philip Graham, Lionel M. Herman, Louis E. Hirschberg, Alfred Kreisman, Second Lieutenant Robert Leventhal, First Lieutenant Rosalind Littman Schulte, Private Louis Soffer, Gerald Robert Steinberg, David Sussman, Joseph L. Swartz, Alvin Bernard Watton, Lawrence Wise, David P. Wool Jr., Joseph Wolfort, and James Henry Yalem. We now recall with love the names of those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names. Dr. Greta H. Camel, Shirley Wilcox, Alan Wolf. And we now recall the names of those, the anniversary of whose death occurs on the Shabbat and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial. Joseph Bernard, Lillian Chapman, Julius Cohn, Harold Robert Davidson, Sybil Margaret Day, Marvin Deutsch, Morris Joseph Drucker, Marion A. Fader, Benjamin Feiner, Carl Foster, Adolf Frank, Private Alan Franken, J. Stephen Feudenberg, Donald Philip Gallup, Joyce K. Gartenberg, Dr. Max J. Goldenson, Lois Grand, Molly Grodsky, Morris Isserman, Albert Kaufman, Charles Kessel, Robert James Kligman, Aileen Coppolo, Lorraine Claire Lander, Max Levi, Belle Grosby Levin, Molly Rosenkrantz Levin, Sidney E. Liederman, Bella Lipkin, Sophie Lissner, Clarice Linford, Stephen Marglis, Clara Lee Perline, Mildred Platt, Aline Polsky, George Potlitzer, John Charles Polin, Jenny Polson, Dr. Jacob G. Probstein, Isidore Riesman, Isaac Rosenblatt, Stanley M. Rosenblum, Fanny E. Rothgieser, Marcia Sachs, Louis A. Schoss, Samuel Schukart, Hattie Summers, Waldheim, Bertha Lipinski, Weil, Burton Wenneker, Scott Zamler. So with those names and the names we keep in our hearts, we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on 294. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'amad yivrach yirtzeh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv emeru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'ama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'emru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. And we say, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Ve'imeru. Amen. Please be seated. So last week, Lisa Benowitz was so nice to share some of her birthday with us, but we needed to actually have a birthday blessing. So Lisa, will you come on up so we can give you, now you've already had your birthday, but it was between Shabbats, so we need to have another moment. Lisa is turning 22 today. It is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So, is there anything in particular that you want for this birthday of yours?
Just, I've already got it.
Oh, that's like the best answer you could ever give.
Thank you.
So we pray that this is a year of health and happiness, that this is a year that brings you learning and joy, that you find that your family is with you everywhere you go, even if they're not literally here, even though we do like having you 2 weeks in a row. That's very nice. Know that they love you and they are by your side, and we are so thrilled that you are a part of our community, and we hope that you will share all of your simchas with us because we are made better by your presence.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, of course. So since it's Memorial Day, we figured we needed a closing song that reflected that. We almost sang Tina Turner, but I know there's really no good Tina Turner songs that are appropriate for.
I needed a special pedal.
Yes. So let's turn, if you will, to page 377, and we hope you'll sing along with us. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Last verse. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. My friends, as you leave tonight, just a few quick favors. First, thank you to Neil and to Michael for helping usher, and also they're standing there because they're really hoping that you'll go and put your sidurim back where you found them. Inside your Siddur tonight, however, you found all sorts of wonderful upcoming things. Even though school is out for summer, it's not here, so we hope that you will come to some of our classes that are coming up, and also we have an event called the Tish that's coming up that is going to be an opportunity to meet some different Temple Israel members, have a nice Shabbat dinner, and enjoy services together, either in person or in virtually. It should be a lot of fun, so we hope that we will see you a lot in the weeks to come. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.